Anyway, I'll step down from my soapbox and move on to release news. Saw on Rock Paper Shotgun today that someone's trying to resurrect the now practically defunct point-and-click strategy puzzle genre with a game called Stasis. Stasis appears to be a horror genre title by Christopher Bischoff, who I can't find anything else about apart from that he appears to be the sole developer on the project. The game interests me for a couple of reasons. Firstly, that it's so damn pretty. He's doing or hired someone who did an excellent job of creating some awesome looking 2D isometric artwork that reminds me of Baldur's Gate 2. And secondly, because I want to see if this kind of game can actually garner an audience these days. I've told him, as he seems receptive to criticism on YouTube, that he probably wants to look into improving his UI design a bit, because he's ignoring two core principles of user interface design, those being shortest distance and fewest clicks. I said this because the interactive environment information isn't on a tooltip or contextual right-click menu, but displayed in the bottom right of the screen, with the inventory on the left in an iconic-based menu sans apparent hotkeys. Journey, an arty desert platformer that came out a little while back, has apparently broken North American PSN sales records for the fastest selling game in the network's history, according to Genova Chen, who is one of the studio's founders. This is good news for that game company, which is a damn silly name for a studio, although not so good news is that I also hear they're losing the other co-founder, Keely Santiago, who is leaving to pursue her own ambitions. Nevertheless though, good for them, the title is epic, and I would strongly suggest going to check Journey out. Robot Entertainment announced today that Orcs Must Die 2 is slated for release this summer on the PC, in the wake of its highly successful prequel, Orcs Must Die, itself named AIAS Strategy Game of the Year. Orcs Must Die is a tower defense game where the user places their traps around a dungeon and then fights those invading orcs that avoid dying head-on in third person using magic and melee. The sequel will include more of the same, but also a larger variety of enemies, traps and magic, as well as a brand new upgrade system and co-op multiplayer. Go check out their announcement trailer and website for more information. Personally, I've got to get around to doing a short play of this myself sometime, because I love tower defense games and I had no idea this was even out. Game of Thrones Series 2 had its premiere over the weekend with The North Remembers, which I thought contained a little too much exposition and recapping of what happened in Series 1 myself, but nevertheless I'm excited to see the events of the books in live action, and I always enjoy watching Peter Dinklage, aka Tyrion Lannister. It may interest fans of the show to know that a Game of Thrones PC and next-gen title is currently in the works by Cyanide Studio, whose past fantasy works include a combat role-playing game called Loki, a football game featuring classic fantasy races called Blood Bowl, and an MMOG called Dungeon Party, described as Defense of the Ancients Cross Fate. According to Gaming Union's Mr. Colin Tan, when you play Game of Thrones the game, you'll be taking on the role of Mors Westford, a hardened warrior of the Night's Watch, and Alistair Sarwick, a Red Priest, to play a campaign which runs parallel to the books. Additionally, the game apparently uses what I call a delayed time combat system, whereby the player can slow the game at any time and enter action commands, as well as a multi-class character development system that allows players to mix and match their specializations. For more information, see the uploader's commentary below for a link to the game's website, where they got a ton of trailers about the game, including details on the combat system and the story. In related epic fantasy news, rumours are being circulated by someone in possession of the username Superannuation on Twitter, naming Monolith Warner Bros. Game Seattle as the developer of the game of the movie Hobbit. I wouldn't report on this if it wasn't for the fact that VG247's Alex Donaldson and Robert Purchase of Eurogamer and Tom Ivan of CVG all appear to consider the tweeter as some sort of deep-throat personality who knows insider information on the games industry. All being said, I agree with their predictions of The Hobbit following in the footsteps of Lord of the Rings War in the North, Fear 2, and Gotham City Imposters, in that the game will achieve only a mediocre score of 5 or 6 out of 10, and that those games were a bit of a come down from the studio's previous releases of Condemned 2 Bloodshot and Fear 1. When considering a company's future successes, analysts start by taking a good long look at a company's recent history, and for this particular branch of WB Games, I'm not holding out a lot of hope for a good movie tie-in title here. Likewise with Double Fine's adventure game that got so much publicity when its CEO Tim Schafer garnered $3 million in public funding from the crowdsourcing website Kickstarter. Double Fine has only had two high-profile releases, those being Stacking last year and Psychonauts in 2005. Mr. Tim Schafer being able to start up his own company with the highly successful Grim Fandango as his banner. Schafer's only real successes have been with games heavy on the story, and his forays into other genres have not been successful. The trouble is that Double Fine Adventure, the working title of Double Fine's crowdsourced game, is slated as a point-and-click adventure game, which, as I stated earlier in the show, is basically a defunct genre. The whole reason Schafer went looking for public funding in the first place, as the man said in his Kickstarter video, is because publishers laughed in his face when he said he wanted to do a game of a defunct genre. Everyone else who reports on this seems to selectively avoid these facts when it comes to Double Fine, but are perfectly willing to see it when it comes to a movie tie-in game. That's what I'm trying to point out here. I can see because I know what analysts and publishers consider before reaching for their wallets. Mr. Schafer knows this just as well as I do, which is why he went to Kickstarter in the first place in order to get funding. But no one else seems to give a damn, so I'm just going to wait until it's out and either pay someone to make an I told you so website or apologise for being wrong, because I hope I am wrong. I would like Grim Fandango 2 or similar as much as anyone else, but personally I just don't see it coming. Even if you handed Schafer $3 billion, it's just not going to happen. And on that cheery note, that is my show. I'm done. It's finished. It's complete. Hope you learned a thing or two of interest to you. If you like my content, then please click the like button down below, sub if you wanna, and leave a comment if you've got something you'd like to say. My name is Clockwork. This has been State of the Game Episode 4. I'm going back to making Long Play Bastion Episode 2. And if you feel like doing something nice for someone, go compliment Dodger Leigh from Press Hard to Continue on her Firefox hair, because that girl is bloody gorgeous. Okay, see you next time.